Recidivism. Why the do we have such a huge problem with recidivism in this country? Sounds harsh. I should watch my language. Well, look, if you're looking for candy corn, well, if you don't want to hear the harshness about recidivism and you want to hear about rainbows, unicorns, and kittens, you need to go watch another video. Because when we're talking about recidivism in America, it's an extremely harsh reality that we are dealing with. It is not getting better, and there's multiple answers to it as to how we can fix it. But the system itself, this country, the governments, the states, the federal government that runs the prisons, they're not fixing it. We're going to talk about some numbers. We're going to talk about some of the things that can fix it. And then I'm going to give you one thing that goes across all the different prisons and the jails that ties into all the people that are getting out as to why they're coming back. Every year in America, over 600,000 people are released from prison. Another 9 million people each year get released from county jails. Of all those people that are released, within 3 years, 2/3 of them are rearrested and 50% of them are reincarcerated. That is just absolutely crazy. Why? What is the problem? Is it just a bunch of criminals? They're making mistakes, committing crimes. They go to jail, they go to prison, they don't learn their lesson, they get out, they come right back. That's probably a huge consensus among the people that really don't know that the problem is much bigger than that. Now, I'm not saying that when a person as an adult, they go out and make mistakes, that we should cater to them, that we should hand them like a gold plate and say, oh, it's going to be okay, just try harder and pat them on the back. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that there's a bunch of things that are holding people back from living a life that they can be productive, where they can go out and get a good job, where they can go out and be a citizen of this country that isn't committing crimes, that's somebody that people want to be around. But there's a bunch of things that are holding them back from that. And that's what we're going to talk about right now, is why these people are committing so many crimes that's sending them back to prison. But you also got to consider, when I'm talking about the number of people that get arrested, that get convicted, that go to prison, not all of those people are out there committing armed robberies, rapes, murders. Not all of them are major drug dealing kingpins. When people think of people being in prison, that's typically what a lot of people think is it's all these major criminals. But it's not that. I've known people in prison personally. One guy that was doing 5 years in prison for driving on a suspended license. Yeah, okay, he was habitual. He did it multiple times. But 5 years in prison, what is that solving? It's not solving anything, because now when he gets out of prison, he's got not only his habitual record for driving on a suspended license, but now he's been to prison. And if you haven't been to prison and you don't realize, when you get out of prison and you have that record, every place, damn near like 80 something percent of the places, just from my experience, immediately they're not even giving you any type of opportunity. They're not even going to give you the opportunity to prove that, okay, he's a good worker, he might make it here, he might be a good fit here. Instead, they're looking at the piece of paper, which I'm not saying erase everybody's record, but a big problem is that if you do the crime, you do the time, you get out, you're carrying this record over your head everywhere you go. If you go out and you try to rent an apartment, if you go out and try to get a job, they're looking at your background. Oh, no, not today. Oh, we don't hire convicted felons. Oh, convicted felons can't live in this apartment complex. Oh, we don't rent to convicted felons. And the list just goes on and on and on. And what another crazy one is, and a lot of people don't even realize that, is they have over 20,000 government enacted regulations that prevent convicted felons from being licensed. I don't know all 20,000 of those things, but 20,000 regulations prevent people from getting licensed because they have a conviction on their record. That's saying, well, you've been convicted, so we're not going to let you get this license and you're not going to get this job. And a lot of the people that get out of prison, they know they can't go get an ordinary job. So a lot of them are already thinking when they're in there, man, I would like to go out and start a business. But when they get out there and get hit with the harsh reality of they can't even get licensed, and then they go try to get these jobs, they can't get any of it. They're just being hit over and over and over by no, 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 no. And so that's a major problem. But take it inside the prison. When you're inside of a prison, they talk about how they have this rehabilitative program where they have courses and they have classes inside prison. Well, I can tell you from experience, the majority of those classes, they're not teaching you jack shit. In fact, you'll go to class sometimes, people will go there just to move around the compound, They're going to the class, but there's not even a teacher in there teaching you anything. And if there is a teacher or an instructor, they don't give a damn about what's going on. They're not monitoring anything. They're not trying to teach you anything. They're simply there for a paycheck. The prison's getting funding for the program, which they're not putting all the funding into the program. Who knows where that money's going? It's a huge problem. You're really not teaching people inside of prison. And to put on top of that, prison is an extremely violent, negative environment already, because you've got this mass incarceration of people where you're just warehousing people for profit, and they're all stuck in here with this angry mindset. And which brings me to the point that the biggest problem that we have with recidivism is people's mindset. Most of the guys that get out, and I would say almost every one of them that come back, literally, I would see a guy, he would leave prison a few months later. I'm like, what, buddy? I thought you just got out of prison. Maybe it's 6 months, a year, whatever the case is. I've seen people come back to prison 5 times while I was there in one stay. I'm like, bro, what is the problem? And what I began to see is that one universal trait that they all have is a broken mindset. They typically come from single family homes. They come from an area of poverty, usually. They come from not educated, and they didn't have parents that were teaching them, raising them, teaching them values, teaching them, look, if you take this path, this is what's going to happen. They just told them to go outside, go hang out. Not saying that that's justification. These people are who they are. They aren't equipped to go out and live in this world in a constructive manner. They don't have that mindset that whenever they get out of prison, you're going to get a lot of people that are going to be against you or don't want to see you do good or don't want you around, or they're going to shut the door in your face. They're going to tell you no. They don't have the mindset to overcome that, to still believe in themselves, to say, you know what, you could shut the door on me a million times. So what? I'm going to keep knocking. I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to keep trying. They don't have that mindset. They lack the skills in their mind to say, I'm going to build this routine in my head. I'm going to believe in myself. I'm going to create healthy habits. I'm going to make sure I'm not around the people, places, and things that brought me to prison to begin with, which all is part of their mindset. One of the biggest things that could help turn recidivism around, it won't end it. We'll never end it in this country. There's too much prison for profit. I mean, you have a company called Geo Corporation that is a major corporation for profit in this country that is pushing for harsh, stiffer sentences. They pay lobbyists to go wherever they go, DC or wherever, to lobby politicians to push for stiffer penalties, because it's a business. They're wanting people to come, stay longer, keep coming back, because that's how they make their money. Just like if you go to a hotel, they're not going to make any money if nobody's coming to stay to occupy the room. Well, if they don't have people occupying their beds, they're not making any money. And Geo Corporation is a huge company. Google it. I'll even give you an example here on the screen. So if we armed guys, not with a weapon, but with a mental weapon, with a mindset weapon in prison, that when they come to prison, we said, we as a country, and the politicians, the people that run the prison said, look, we're making it mandatory for every single person that gets locked up, start at the county jails, all the way into the prisons. You're going to take this program. Whether you participate, you really get anything out of it, now that's up to you. You know, we can bring a person a plate of food. You can take a horse to water. That doesn't mean they're going to eat it or drink it. That's up to them. But at least we have tried something bigger and better, something to actually arm these people with that gives them the mental tools to overcome all the adversity that they face whenever they get out, to go out there and believe in themselves, to not fall back into their old ways, because they now know a new way of thinking. They've got rid of the old thinking and they've implemented a new way of thinking. They've made it become a habit. They've stood on it in prison. They've learned it. They live by it. They eat, sleep, breathe it. And now when they get out into the world, they're living that. If we simply arm these people that are in prison or in the jails with this mental mindset mastery program, you would see the prison recidivism rate drastically reduce. And it's as easy as sending this program in there, a digital program for people to study. So listen, guys, if you like that information on recidivism, if you want to hear more stories about it, be sure to drop a comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.